Hi friends, what's up? It's your girl Nikki Eason, the mogul. This is where every voice is heard, where I discuss the androgynous experience. This is College Days Part 2. So let me get right back into it. So when I actually went to Winston-Salem State University, go Rams. Chew tobacco, spit. If you ain't a Ram, then you know the rest. Um, I got a chance to pledge Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. I did. It was a very interesting experience. Honestly, I saw the Deltas on the University of Georgia campus when I was there, and even though I always wanted to become a Delta, in my mind of how it would happen, I always pictured myself like on a HBCU campus. So it's interesting how, what you think in your mind, you actually put out into the universe, and it kind of comes, to you. Uh, so when it came about to pledge, I was like, I'll just put in my information and see what happens. I had Deltas already in my family. I had looked up to a few Deltas. My assistant coach at the time was a Delta, so I, was like, yeah, I can do this. And then I got accepted, and I was like, oh wow. So it's interesting because knowing it going into, I was like, most Deltas, they're a lot more feminine. This is going to be interesting because at the time I was just a basketball player walking around in sweats and jeans and a shirt, sneakers, Timbs, hats. So it was like, oh man, I bet you they're going to try to bring more of the femininity, out of me. And yes, being a part, going through the process, there was times I had to dress up and have a dress on. And my line sisters know to this day, that was not comfortable for me. They was not even used to seeing me, in that. But what I appreciated about pledging was learning, sisterhood, learning that it's not really about you, and when you say, am I my sister's keeper? No, I am my sister, like, if something happens to one of us, it happens to all of us. And it kind of changed my dynamic of knowing that who I am, the way that I am, and how I represent myself is a direct reflection of the organization, my line, and my sisters, and so it kind of taught me that self validation that I needed, the self respect that I needed to know, like, if you're gonna do anything in this world, like, think about everything that you're representing. But what was interesting was that most of my line sisters were super feminine, and that, they did makeup, getting all their hair done. I was, like I said, in the process of still growing locks at the time. And a lot of people thought I couldn't grow locks because my hair was like too soft. And now, look at them now. They're like, oh my God, your locks are so beautiful. Yeah, you didn't think that I could do it back then, but look what's going on. But it's interesting because I was like, like, I dress more masculine. It's just be an interesting journey, just being myself and wearing jeans. But what was kind of like striking to me, there was a time that people, who was trying to make me become a part of line, or the, I guess, choosing process, it had told to me after the fact, that they didn't really want you to, some people didn't really want me to be a part of the organization just because of the way I dress, right? I think that was the first, like, in my face, like, feeling some type of way that somebody else felt some type of way about how I dress. And I'm like, why does it have to do with anything? Like, that doesn't change who I am, doesn't change what I'm doing or anything like that. All I did was play ball and go to school. I was a student athlete. Go play ball, do everything but basketball, and be a student. So it was like, just because I'm walking around dressed in a certain way, you think I'm not going to be able to represent the organization? What does it have to do with anything? So I think that probably sparked my interest of understanding that people had, I would say, problems with the way I dressed. I think my line sisters always would ask me, certain things, how I am, or how I, dress, or why I dress the way that I dress. And I think they got educated in the process of it all. So I learned then that there's probably going to be people in this world that's probably going to have a problem with the way that I dress or express myself. But I kind of looked at it as like, maybe I'm the one that's supposed to change their thought process of what they think it should look like, or how a woman should be. Because I know there were other masculine deltas around, you know, so I couldn't be like the only one. So I can't change that. So I'm like, they always say, you know, don't let the letters make you, make the letters. So in my head, I'm like, okay, well, I'll be that person and continue to be me and make them adjust to who I am. And I'm glad that people saw what I was doing, and the ones who stood up for me to say, no, you know, Nikki's this, Nikki's that, she's doing this. And I think she got good energy for the organization to continue to let me be a part. I'm super, super thankful, you know, for them, because it changed dynamics. And the people who came, who pledged after me that may have been a little bit more masculine, I think they were more comfortable to be themselves, you know. So it was great, you know. Of course, we did things on the yard. It's funny, every time I would hang out with them, you know, my line sisters, they all feminine down, and I'm, you know, Tim's jeans, you know, looking super tomboyish, but still holding up the sign, and, you know, so it always was interesting when I all hung around them. But like I say, it was hard to kind of find my footing because I was just totally different. But they knew that I was a woman. And yeah, some of them used to be like, oh, you remember when you wore your dress? Or why wouldn't you do that? And I'm like, yeah, no, I only wore it because that's what was required of me at the time, you know, but this is how, you know, I dress. So as things kind of went on, you know, at Winston, yeah, I majored in marketing, and I wanted to be like a boss. I didn't really want to further anymore with basketball. I think I was kind of like done with it. I think I just used it for my degree, and that was that. I was like, I just want to be a boss. I don't know what business I want to own or anything like that. I think that's probably when I first got introduced to like Diddy and everything. Like, not introduced, like met him, but you know, just heard about him. And I was like, you know, I want to be like my own. I want to have my own company and my own brand and all of this stuff. And I just want that. You know, I think I used to rock like, what was that? I think it was Echo at the time, and I think maybe Sean John had first just kind of came on the scene. So I think that whole clothing atmosphere of having a company was kind of my direction. Not really knowing what, but I knew that I wanted to be the CEO. Like, I ain't trying to work for nobody, nothing like that. And I was like, you know, if I can be the first, then if people see me in that position, maybe they'll accept me a lot more because I am the boss. So I think those were the first imprints that I experienced to say, you know what, some things need to change, you know, and maybe I am the way that I am for that reason. So I was, my line name for Delta was Joan of Arc, which when I got named Joan of Arc, all I thought about was, why would you name me that? You know, why would you name me Joan of Arc? Like, didn't she get burned? That's immediately what I said. And, you know, my big sisters was like, you know, you was always a savior of your people. You know, you was always there and showed up. So we're going to name you Joan of Arc. And I'm like, all right, you know, I'll take the savior, you know. And at the time, I never really did full history, you know, on Joan of Arc. I just took it as I was a savior of my people, and I was the rock of the line. And probably because I was super masculine, you know, or more tomboyish than my other line sisters, I could take a little bit more. But I became that, the savior of my people, which makes sense of where I am now, you know, the savior of my people in some form or fashion. But college for me was just about basketball, being a student, and kind of coming into my own of the way that I like to express myself, you know. And I never still heard of the word androgynous, so I didn't know anything about it. It was always just considered being a tomboy. You know Nikki, the one that's kind of like a tomboy. She's a Delta. That's how it was. Nikki the Delta, the tomboyish Delta. Tomboy Nikki. That's what it was. The basketball player, she's a Delta. That's how they, you know, described me. And I was growing locks at the time. So, you know, of course I wore my wrap, and people didn't think that, you know, I could really grow locks, and my hair was too soft. And now they're like, oh my God, like, your locks are amazing. Oh, ye of little faith. But it was definitely an interesting journey with college as far as people being okay with how I presented myself during school. I did pretty well, you know, at Winston-Salem State. Like, I was able to learn a lot better because of the smaller classes, and I graduated, over with a 3.2. So graduated in '05, 2005, class of 2005, and was like, I don't know where I should go, but I know I want to do something with marketing, and I just know that it's probably Charlotte, Atlanta, or New York. Charlotte, Atlanta, or New York. Or at least that was the thought process I had during the time. And I was like, I gotta go for marketing jobs. I gotta go for those jobs that's gonna market something, because that's what I got my degree in. Get your degree, get a job in something that you got your degree in. I wasn't playing ball anymore. I was like, nah. Coach came to me like, you want to try to play overseas? And I'm like, nah. I got an agent I can hook you up with. Talked to him maybe one or twice. I just really wasn't feeling it. And I was like, I want to do other things in this world. And I was tired of being known as just a basketball player. It was more to me than that. And I knew it probably a long time ago, but didn't know how to exercise that. So I'm like, I'm about to get me a marketing job in Charlotte, Atlanta, or New York. So I just started applying to those cities to see what I could do. I even applied for Nike, in New York. There was a lot of marketing jobs in the Charlotte area and Atlanta, and I remember taking, a ride down to Atlanta for a marketing job, and something happened to where I couldn't do the interview or something, and I was like, that didn't work out, and then I end up getting another opportunity for a marketing job in Charlotte, and I'm like, at least that's a little bit closer. And I also had like a phone interview with Nike, to kind of do like a quote unquote internship there at Nike, but I think it was in Brooklyn, New York. That's the crazy thing. I think it was in Brooklyn. And in my head, I'm like, it's New York, but I'm also like, it's New York, right? And I'm from South Carolina, and I'm just graduating from Winston-Salem State in North Carolina. I'm from the South, but it was New York. So those are part of the states that I wanted to, of the cities I wanted to move to. So it was interesting that I actually end up getting the marketing interview for a job in Charlotte. And I went in and took the job because I never heard anything back from New York. I never heard anything back from Atlanta. And I just took it. And it was a marketing job, doing door-to-door sales for Bell South. Door-to-door sales for Bell South. But in my head, it's a marketing job. It's part of my degree. Yeah, I'm doing door-to-door, and I'm probably getting full commission. But I got a job in Charlotte. And it's a marketing job. It was pretty cool. I met some cool people. I'll just go with it because it's close. And I hadn't heard anything. Moved into my apartment a week later. After I moved to Charlotte and got the apartment. A week later, New York. Nike called and was like, we really love interviewing you. We're going to offer you the internship, but you'll have to pay for room and board. Like you'll have to pay for we'll pay for your room and board, but you just have to find a way to get up here. And it'll be for like 6 months, and we can't guarantee you if you're gonna have a position or not. I remember calling my dad, like, Dad, I just got a call from New York, and they is Nike, and I was like, but I just got into my apartment here like a week ago, and he was just like, well, you already settled, so you ain't gonna be able to do that on top of what you need to get up there, and I had to decline it. So I was taking a job in Charlotte, doing door-to-door sales for this company called Sidcor. And I was at Perth Acquisitions, which was a small marketing company under Sidcor. And Sidcor worked for Bell South. They did their residential and business sales for Bell South. So that should be interesting. But I'll tell you more about that the next time on my edition of the Androgynous Experience. Thank you guys so much. I just appreciate you watching. Tag, share, whatever you need, and stay tuned because this is the Androgynous Experience. Much love. Later.